Minions of capital. What do you want?
What strikes you about this gaunt man is not the stomach pain, or the cough, or the malnutrition. For a man who's spent 44 years hidden in the urban wild. Indeed, he speaks fluidly. His movements are rapid, if erratic. His voice, despite the cough, is there. It is capable of expressing complicated ideas. Above all, he seems animated. It's a mystery. This animation comes at a cost too. Erratic hand gestures, thought processes cut off like threads as he just stares at the logs or the reeds. He also suffers mood swings, bubbling to the surface, unconstrained by his nervous system. Great leaps of emotion, from anger to grief, despair. You've seen demented people before. This feels similar, yet different. When his thoughts move, they are lucid, keen even, not senile. Perhaps, but his seems more than that. The inner turmoil takes unexpected turns, as if forced on him in a way. In summary, you sense some underlying neurological disorder.
No, I'm not okay. I shit blood, and I'm surrounded by insane people.
There it is again, erratic hand motions, bouts of rage, and the stomach thing too, of course.
Petty bourgeois law. This is all you care about, right? The only thing in the world for you types.
A drop of blood in the saliva. Tear into him again. Pile it on him.
Damn Maybells. The whole island is turning white with them.
He seems tender suddenly, nostalgic even. A strange mood swing.
So many this year too. The spring is coming. No, it's already here. Wash the filth away. They blossom on the islets before. We fertilize them with our blood. Resurrection was snow white in May, before they ruined it. The coast, too, before they piled their containers on top of it, filled with broken, useless trash for fat-fingered bourgeois children to play with.
You must get around a lot to stay undetected all these years. Do you know any secret paths? Pinball workshops?
I may. Classier.
He knows her, but hadn't heard the name.
My ears don't reach the city. With the victim.
There is a small tremble, looks like a smile, a crooked smile, yet isn't quite voluntary. He's about to burst.
Everything is brands with you individualists. Who cares what brand my shoes are? Sansa? Some shit.
Show me the souls, please, Mr. Doras.
Fucking imbecile.
The maker is called Sansariq, and the size is 42 to 44. These are not the unusual horizontal patterned souls you saw in the dust on the floor of the hidden room. They do, however, seem to be about the same size.
The size fits, but not the soul.
Sire, he doesn't have to be wearing them right now.
Racking those brains, are you? Desperate to report something back to your masters? They must have really loved that dead fuck.
lieutenant gives you a quick sideways glance and nods to acknowledge. The prints were his. You can see it in those eyes. He can't keep them from flickering, looking for something. The old man stares at his own prints in the ash around the fire. Silent suddenly, some strange process within him. A gush of wind. Seagulls in the distance.
You know who he was. A coalition-trained murderer. Armored and armed. He wasn't human. The blunt end of a hammer. Dripping with blood. Beating us to the ground. Moaning with joy. You hounds get so thorough when a company-trained killer dies. I haven't seen you on this coast for 40 years. You know, maybe I should have killed one sooner. Got your attention. Now you stop beating druggies and prostitutes in your basement. Now you come to investigate. Not when they die by the hundreds.
This is it. Shot him. Shot him. Say shot him, not killed him.
Oh, the inhumanity. One paramilitary less in Revachol.
The lieutenant raises his right arm to hush you. Hush. He does not need to be pushed anymore. The ball is rolling, while the lieutenant listens, holding his breath.
I had them in my sights, both of them, him and the whore. I was breathing with them, in phase, and I pulled the trigger and flew on the air until I landed in his mouth. I didn't think I had a shot like that in me anymore. I did. I saw him kneel there with his mouth full of death. And that stupid look on his face. And his dick still in her. Nothing. I went to sleep. Next morning there were Maybells everywhere. The world was white. Or what's left of it anyway. My last spring here. I knew the fascists would come to avenge their own. And so they did.
Mr. Dross, are you aware you're confessing to murder?
Yes.
And you were looking at them, the victim and a young woman, having sex, through the scope of your rifle that night, before you shot him?
The old man nods.
Why?
Because that's what they were doing.
The motive. This is where the motive is going to come from.
I don't understand. Do you, detective? I don't understand this part.
I'm always looking.
Are you always looking through the scope of a rifle? I'm just trying to understand.
A rifle's scope has the best magnification.
Helps him see all the shit.
And if you don't like it,
Click.
then you pull the trigger?
Yes. Think of it as a form of critique.
He will not stop now. These dialectical materialist types never do. Exploit it. You got him going. Connect every little piece now. Wrap this up like a gift.
Them. Fucking. I didn't like that. Jealousy. is a reactionary concept. I didn't like the Reaver enjoying himself, drugged out, soothed in the arms of a young woman. I wanted him to die so he could not enjoy life anymore. And I wanted to see his head explode. That too. She should know better than to hold a child murderer between her thighs. I knew he'd be there for one more second, writhing. That's all it takes for the bullet to reach his head. Now that I think of it, I wasn't aiming for his mouth. I wanted his brains to spill out on her. But you can't have everything. Since she came to Martinez, I saw her sneaking in the reeds early in the morning, behind the Fell building. It was dark, still winter. She didn't have her skimpy outfit on then, just a spot in the night, moving.
Past the Fell building on the coast, what was she doing there?
Hiding something in the water. She had a fag after she'd done it. I was up in the ruins there. She couldn't see me, but I could see her, smoking. She was nervous, but not scared. Her passport and tickets to Villiers, and from there to Cachet-Brou.
In the free state of Seminine, hidden away at the edge of the earth, near the Pale.
Yes, after she'd gone. It was a submersible. Well made, actually.
Sloppy. We should have gotten her to tell us about this. Did you take the documents?
No, I put them back. Why would I take them? I'm not going to phone. Oh, I mean... I did. She had a face like an archipelago, with those birthmarks, and a body hard and lean and bruised all over, black and yellow. I could see she's taken a beating. I could see who she was, too. A spook, on the run. Revachol's the cloaca of capital now. All the bagmen and arms dealers end up here to do drugs and have sex like animals.
You could tell she was a spook from the documents?
She had different color hair on the photo, and glasses. Forged. Some sordid bourgeois affair. I've heard about this kind of thing on the radio.
He's setting it up for you. The bruises, you can't make that out in a scope.
You can't see bruises through a scope. It's just a blur.
It quickly comes to you.
Bending like a bow against the glass. I've been through all of Martinez, every nook and cranny. Yes, that too. The things they did in that little room, what she'd do to feel good. Funny the way light works. You turn it on inside, and it gets so dark out, you can't see a man looking in. I learned that in the 20s, when they were still hunting me. I've seen people do some shit, but...
Those two took the cake. You hear the familiar scribble of the lieutenant's pen. A quick glance at you. One more loose end down. We're doing this, detective.
How did you get in there? The hidden pinball workshop.
I can just walk in there now after a good wash. I told you, they think I'm an antisocial. Closing hour is a good time. The kitchen's empty.
You had to open the steel door in the kitchen? How?
I got that open a long time ago. Some bourgeois game merchant lived there. I don't know, 15 years ago. He left spare keys all over, and I took one. Then I saw her turn the light on one night in my scope.
Andy found use for it, a spare key, like the one hanging behind the Union Box window.
There's nothing to hold on to. Only this. It's not enough.
The coals of his eyes glisten suddenly, like stones dripping with water. Is he crying?
Man needs to feel something else. In this fight, it helps if you have your eye on something there. It's weakness, I know. No. I don't really know. I was there one night and she was crying, like a child, in the corner of her room on the floor, like she does sometimes. The day after I killed him. Yes, I don't know why I do the things I do anymore. Maybe, I told you, I have holes in my brain now. I wouldn't just sit here waiting for you.
A sudden pang of rage.
If you came 10 years ago, I would have killed you.
In the silence, the lieutenant draws a line in his notes, then nods at you once more. One more down.
Her.
The lieutenant nods at you in acknowledgement. That's it. Motive. We have it.
Where is she, that Clasier? I haven't seen her there for days. Gone. I knew it. She kept staring into the scope this last week, at the island, like she knew. She'd look, at night, crying or smoking on the roof, staring right into me. It doesn't matter.
He knew she knows. She was looking at the island, figuring it out, day by day, cigarette by cigarette.
We could get more. We've got him talking.
Who knows what he's seen and done over the years? Enough. Take him in. Bend his arms behind his back and end this.
A tragic comedy. Druggies, prostitutes, and rentiers.
A strange little engine seems to fire up in him again. It straightens his back. The familiar put of hatred.
Specifically, the whole city is a charnel house, stripped clean and draped in neon. But Martinez is the worst. Because of the racists, everyone is a racist in Martinez. It's their favorite thing to do in the whole world, listening to race-themed radio shows, in the ruins, in their lorries. Pumped full of steroids and Radio Revachol 92. Race this, race that. It's all sanctioned by that Social Democratic Union and the farce of a Social Democrat who runs it. Yes, the fly larva in his container. He let some nihilistic advertising yuppies erect a statue of Philippe III, a syphilitic murderer, on the town square, to spit on the working class. Not since the serfs of ancient Pericarnassus has history produced a more inert social class than the Martinez proletariat. The rest of Revachol at least pretends to rebuild. These people still live in ruins. Intense, like animals, like those boom-boom morons on the ice. A pity they didn't drown in that tent of theirs. The worst of them is the blood-drenched Sucrion on her yacht, licking her lips. The old whore's gone now. Her gun-toting porcelain men are dead. So, actually, no. The worst is that old cock parading around in his uniform, throwing balls all day. It's not enough that the racists and liberals are dancing on our graves. The old loyalist ghouls still parade the ruins too. Every morning he's there, while the parasites he fought to protect are off in Ozon, or Koyamorang, or some other island they built their palaces on, feeding on drugs and having sex with their own children. That's all the rich really want. Sex with their own children. Throughout history, even the royal bloodline of the suzerain, it's all just an excuse for them to have sordid sex. At least that old cunt, Frisell, is now dead. We did good when we pushed him under the horse car, until, in the 30s, those disco whores...
The disco whores are too much. Hatred shuts down his brain's language center, leaving only a nonsensical sputter. There was something about a statue and nihilistic advertising agency people might be worth investigating.
Syphilis is a disease Philip III contracted in a whorehouse. The statue is an abomination. The bacteria entered his brain and made him squander trillions on sparkling wine, cocainum, and monuments of himself. His son, Philip IV, the insane, contracted syphilis in the womb.
That is technically possible, although Philippe III was not actually syphilitic. He was just mad.
And he still went on to govern Revachol for 25 years. We lost 2 million lives toppling that mode of government. And those grotesque statues too. Hundreds of them. What a keen remark. Yes, it is, isn't it? It's still there. Do you know why? No. Cynical design cockroaches like you erected a new, ironic version of it. We tore it down with honest, working-class plastic explosives. But there it is again, grinning. Art is a bourgeois establishment. It's an affront to humanity. Every gallery should be bulldozed, and the artists should all be given 30 years of hard labor in Yekokata. Another hideous disappointment. Unions are the real enemy, the true enemy of the proletariat, placating the masses.
Disappointment, so personal. He displays a familiarity with the union's top brass.
That deformed toad? I wouldn't expect him to wipe his own ass. I mean, the brains of the operation, the smart one.
Edgar.
He talks a big game about uprising and social base. They must have sent the smart one to some university in Le Jardin, where it's alienation this and hegemony that. First against the wall with him.
The Clares wouldn't miss a man hidden in their own backyard. Not all this time. Nothing happens in Martinez without them knowing.
Of course, maybe the Clares asked him to.
I haven't approached anyone. I hid. It was Edgar who came to me.
How did he know you were here?
He didn't just stumble in like an oaf. He figured it out. Some kids told him about a monster on the island. I told you, he has brains. Stepped right off the boat and walked down where you came. I even kept the door open for him. Thought he was a man of the left, wouldn't rat me out. I was right about one of those things. 20 years ago, neither of them could walk now, could they? They were less fat then.
That's around the time the Clares came to power.
Edgar did the talking. Paid his respects like I were a fossil in a uniform. Offered platitudes about the struggle. Flaunted his pink degree. Even quoted Marzoff. Never trust a social democrat who quotes Marzoff. Oh, and charity too. They love their charity. Offered me blankets and social housing. I still have the gas cooker he brought. Let me be here. The ZOC is an unlawful successor of the Commune of Revachol. We took this fortification from the Loyalists. Even the Clares understand this.
They let him be here. Understanding was a courtesy. But why such a courtesy?
You know why I killed that fucker, Dwat. As to Edgar, I'm not doing anything for that swine again.
Again? What have you done for Edgar before?
Tried teaching him some Marzovian socioeconomics. They didn't stick. We parted ways.
Okay, he didn't do the hanged man for them, but he's insinuating something. The connection comes to you like a splash of cold water. Dark, cold water.
Hey.
He acknowledges it. Here we go. A twist behind the dark bend.
That bourgeois cow. Tiffin Holly was her name. Licked the rich man's hand every time he came to town. Never seen a labor leader so hot on mutual cooperation. And money. She liked that too. That Holly was a real bridge builder and a deal maker.
Bordering on sentimentality, it drips out of him, tempered by something familiar to you. A familiar rage.
She was, and she was real soft on those money men. Had a Barbara Muskova bag over her shoulder that she liked to bring to work. Called in, they say, on the eve of battle, ran away, vanished like a piss stain.
No, that's not quite it, is it?
Did she? They say her daughter called in, not her personally. But that wasn't really her daughter, was it?
No, I guess it was not. She couldn't make the call herself.
Here it is, the bend in the river.
Because she was dead?
Just say nothing.
The cow caught a bullet in her right lung. Fell into the canal grasping a tit and drowned. Or bled. Hard to say. It was a sloppy job. And a moving target. She was going home, waddling, dressed in yellow, drunk like she often was. The ruins were black around her, and she had a yellow leather bag under her arm. She tried to cross the canal. Heading home to Grand Couronne or Betancourt, someplace like that, where they build those new bâtiments for the people who flourish in the hell around her, and the ruins. Someone shot her. Or maybe the cow just fell. My memory is full of holes. All I know is...
Another big spike of rage, different from the one he has for her.
Nothing changed. Not in the material base, not in the hegemony. There was no uprising. Just words. The Union fizzled, sogged. Nothing came of it. Nothing.
Edgar didn't keep his part of the deal. If you were to testify to this, give the RCM something on Edgar, you could walk. We would strike everything you've done and process you as a POW. You were in a war. You were on assignment. We could even extradite you to the Samaran People's Republic.
A degenerate worker state. Goat shit. No, thank you. I'm Revacholian. My days are short. I will rot away here, in a moral intern cell. I will not testify to anything. I saw it happen, and I liked it. That's all I have to say. I didn't live and fight for 40 years to end up as a collaborationist. I've heard it on Channel 8, 40 AM, Radio Revachol, late night. Everyone is a blobber in this world. Everyone betrays everyone. They're all already locked up for betrayal. The best ones, the ones with heart, were slaughtered, trampled.
The same old freezing hatred. There is plenty here to work with once he's in custody, and the lieutenant knows it. He gives you a little nod to proceed.
Every fucking morning for 34 years. Throwing that ball. One ball against the other. I've always loathed that game. That is not a working class game. I don't care what they say on Radio June. Royalist ghouls played like it was life itself. Click-clack across the water each day. And that uniform, like a parrot plumage. I won't even mention that he's a traitor to his race. A Patank maniac race traitor. I remember him. I remember him from La Noce. Not him, personally, his make and model. There were tens of thousands of them. I thought we took them all out before the Liberals came to their rescue. We missed one. That one.
There doesn't seem to be a single person under the pine today. Not even Gaston. Alone.
Fat and plump, like a pheasant, just begging to be popped off. Please, Mr. Dross, shoot me.
He whispers with such predatory hunger. It borders on longing.
Not yet. I like to look at him strut around, place the crosshair on his medals, right on his face, and just fiddle the trigger. Think about it. Let the bomb melt in my mouth.
Save the treat for later?
He is a juicy bonbon, that one. A real treat for the black day. The blackest. When I put that gun in my own mouth, I think. No, don't waste it. Put this lead in that cock, René. For the boys he killed. And then I look at him throw those balls, and I suddenly feel better. I even hid one bullet, so I'd always have one for him. Haven't seen him around lately, strutting around. Must be down with arthritis. I hope it hurts like hell. I hope he sweats blood. No. I waited too long. I waited too long and now he's dead?
I'm sorry, Mr. Dross. I understand you knew him for a long time.
They're all dead now. Fuck it.
If he really wanted to kill him so bad, he would have done. There must have been 1,000 black days on these islands. His health ailing.
And I blew them all. What does it matter now? He's gone. Ancient dust.
He reminded him of himself. The same hatred. The same. You try to think of something else, but no, it's just hatred.
Fuck you. All human beings care about each other. I cared for seeing his head explode. Now, God damn this world. You think I haven't seen people die? It's all I've seen them do. Fuck and die. All the other plans we had. To love. To colonize the Pale. It's all fucked.
He's not okay. This is just another black day in a row of black days. Something strange is keeping him together, making him endure.
I don't even care about those whores anymore. Get it over with. Take me in. Glad we talked about what?
His lip curls into a sneer at the memory.
Glad we talked about what? What? But you said I would be taken to the...
This terror is the sum of all the uncontrollable movements and mood swings he's been exhibiting.
Your Wayfarer rights have been suspended. Information provided to the officers on the scene will be used against you by the prosecution. You will be given legal counsel within 1 week and must face court in 44 days. Do you understand? Do you understand?
But... No, I don't want to. I have to stay here.
He's sweating. Beads are forming on his forehead.
Your confirmation is not required, sir. Now on to the boat. Not really. We could escort him to the pier, then either one of us can take him inland while the other stays here, but...
But then, who watches him while you're coming back here?
You come back for me? How about I go and send a boat back for you?
What is this farce? This is a fucking farce. I can't.
Lillian, you could ask her maybe.
This is no harmless old man.
This fucking world. This world. What is this?
No, listen. Listen now. You thought you heard something, but it's just the reeds.
Maybe we could all fit in there. Actually, no. No, it would take a whole day on this island. You go and transport the prisoner. I'll be here. I can escort him to the pier with you.
This world? What are you talking about? Is this us?
The wind is cold from the east. Your skin is crawling suddenly. A delicate tangle of arms and legs unfolds from the reeds, limb by limb, to then just stand there, moving its scythe-like arms in ghostly silence.
What are you talking about? There's nothing there.
The stick insect is over 3 meters tall. It looks straight at you with its tiny pinprick eyes and its grotesquely small head. You feel your legs shaking under you and your gun hand rise instinctively.
Tell me what you see, damn it. I can't make out one small thing in the reeds.
I can see it.
4 simple words, thank God. If he can see, then you're not insane. But that means it's really there, spinning slowly, in absolute silence, its limbs long and slender.
Be very, very careful. Yes?
The creature stands on long stilt-like legs, antennae hanging from its head like a woman's hair, white and curled at the tips. It is no more than 5 steps away from you. Reed-like tufts stick out of its joints. As the insect moves its forearms, it produces a faint hiss, like a reel-to-reel machine spinning after the tape breaks.
It is.
You glance over your shoulder. The lieutenant holds a piece of milled aluminium. He begins to pull it open, extremely carefully. It's the camera.
We need a photo. No one will believe us.
From the corner of your eye, you see a sudden cascade of motion ripple through the phasmid's limbs. A series of ultrasonic clicks fills your ear. I am not palatable. Do not eat me. I am afraid. With the sound of metal sliding against metal, the lieutenant reveals the lens. The glass glints in his hand as he begins to slide in an ampoule. You see the phasmid turn to him, its mandible antennae reaching out. The motions are quick, sudden. Something cracks in the lieutenant. He's letting his pride get in the way.
The ampoule will produce a loud hiss. You're right, it could scare it away. I need a better moment when it's not looking.
I'll wait. I'm on standby, he thinks, his hands sweaty around the machine. The spindly mechanism turns itself back to you, its antennae taking their measure of the air, slowly. The creature tilts its tiny head to the side and appears to look at you. It is incredibly light, like the slightest gust of wind should blow it away, but it doesn't. Slowly, with your breath held, you take 2 small steps toward the phasmid. The creature lets out a series of ultrasonic clicks that swarm around your head like swallows. Like laughter, a sort of happiness. Sweat drips from your brow, soaking your chest. You reek of it, your chemicals. The tracheal system on the creature's abdomen expands in front of you to take in and expel air. It's smelling you. Hissing and clicking, it extends its mandible-like antennae to greet you. You're right below it now, looking up at the colossal chitin of its white limbs. The head of the creature is crowned by reeds, and its eyes are like small droplets of water.
Maybe it is real, the pheromone.
About now, he is ready to believe in anything. The insect's head is crowned with reed-like scales, the shape of seed heads. They rustle as the air moves. The ventricles at its abdomen continue expanding, like lunglets. Breathing you in, your sour, greasy semiochemicals on the breeze. The insect stops its stridulation, seeming to observe you. Below its crown of reeds, little pinprick eyes detect motion, glittering. The world stands still around you. Suddenly, there is silence. No, stop. Be afraid. As you do, the invertebrate comes to life, its limbs moving independent of each other, as if each has a mind of its own. They are white, like stalks of porcelain, knitting above you, praying to you. Unwittingly, the insect continues its stridulations. As it moves, tuft-like structures still pretending to be plants rustle along on its joints. Perhaps it is preparing to eat its god. No reply. A total ancient silence comes from its mouth, along with what appears to be some kind of foam. The stridulations of its limbs continue all around you. You were right. Little bubbles form on the mouth parts of the creature, on its segmented lower lip. It looks to be foaming, slowly. The foam is white, then yellowish. The faintest smell, like you've never felt before, like burnt roses.
Careful, it may be poisonous.
The foam slowly turns a darker shade, like burnt caramel, as the insect moves its mouth parts, masticating. The little bubbles begin to burst, one by one, letting out that same smell, like summer burning.
I exist. Tell me what it's like for you. What is your illness? For me, it is not like that. I have states, not the emotions. For example, I experience excitement at unexpected sugar rewards, but that is not important. Now I will tell you how it is for me. For me, it is a series of half-lit images, a kind of darkness, being intruded upon, transient, dim, moist. Shapes of plants and animals, and internal sensations. A swarm of sounds, tiny vibrations on the inside of my forearms. All speak of complexities totally beyond my understanding. I am at the end of a narrow funnel, weightless, so light, it only feels like something to be me. In truth, perhaps I'm nothing. I certainly do not have a soul, and if I did, it would never ache. Are you sure? Sometimes, when molting, I regrow a lost limb. One time something went wrong, and a small leg replaced a missing antenna. Yes, the leg tried to move around independently, making it hard to walk. Yes, thankfully someone ate it. The next time I molded, I grew an antenna again. So am I. I was born to detect sucrose rewards and semiochemicals. What were you born to detect? He's in a bad state, deteriorating fast now. He thinks I am beneficial to him, but I am not. I only quicken his deterioration. Very slowly, and only because he won't go away. It is meant to keep them from noticing me, to interfere with the pictures in their heads. But he has looked at me for too long, and I am destroying him. No, you're awake. I am real. Light is forming me. This is real. Not even the birds know that. Not even the water lily. I think we should eat it. If it's a leaf, you can put it in your mouth. Or read. Yum yum.
Wait, so...
Yes, they don't mind. Yes, I once cloned myself and ate the little ones. It was winter, and I woke up at the wrong time. It was an accident. I am an unknown species of the order Phantasmadia, endemic to the Insulindian Insula. For the last 350 years, I have hidden in plain sight, masquerading as the reeds, molding, cloning myself, unfolding at night to play with trash bins and boys.
It may have unknown, dangerous biochemical characteristics that help it maintain its camouflage.
No one unnoticed by the first settlers and the land surveyors of the suzerain. Also, by the soldiers of the revolution and the officials of the occupation. Even the Semenese islanders who came here first, but did not stay, have not seen me. I have stayed hidden through 4 forms of government and 2 scientific revolutions until I was accidentally discovered by a detective of the citizen militia in Revershow, district of Martinez, March 51. Yes, I do not have a starter display, so I use a neurodegenerative element to aid in camouflage. Do not worry, it is only destructive over long periods of time.
The deserter. He's been here for a long time.
No, you are. The moral of our encounter is, I am a relatively median life form, while it is you who are a total extreme madness. A volatile senior nerve system ominously new to the planet. The Pale too came with you. No one remembers it before you. The Nidarians do not. The radially symmetrics do not. There is an almost unanimous agreement between the birds and the plants that you are going to destroy us all. It is a nervous shadow cast into the world by you, eating away at reality. A great, unnatural territory. Its advent coincides with the arrival of the human mind. You are a violent and irrepressible miracle. The vacuum of cosmos and the stars burning in it are afraid of you. Give me enough time, you will wipe us all out and replace us with nothing. Just by accident. We suspect it will be something like the oxygen holocaust that wiped out anaerobic life 2.6 billion years ago, when organisms first started breathing. Only much worse.
Instead of air, you exhale thoughts. There are no trees that eat thoughts.
Everything your eyes touch goes back there, behind the nose mirror. What if you blink? Are we still here? Please don't blink. What if you misplace us all one day, or just forget? Please be. Or one day, one of you will close your eyes and sigh, and open them to see that none of this ever existed.
It doesn't look like that, no. You're just staring at it. Okay. Is it somehow related to the case? I think we should take the picture, and then you should back away from the unstudied species.
No, there is one more. Thank you. I also have one more thing to say to you. That woman, turn from the ruin. Turn and go forward. Do it for the working class. She was middle class. It doesn't take a 3-meter stick insect to tell you that.
Okay.
There is no change in the insect's motion while it's being aimed by the camera. It remains fixated on you.
In 3. If it moves, you jump back. I'll shoot. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
The shrill flash of the camera cuts the air like the blade of a sword. The phasmid freezes in its bright light. Head turned toward the lieutenant, hypnotized by the flash. It stands frozen before you.
I got it.
The limb before you is incredibly light, like eggshell. It's much lighter than a reed. You feel a soft push could tip the creature over. Its hollow exoskeleton collapsing. Warning! A sudden shiver passes the limb. Looks like the creature is awakening, wave by wave from its stupor. Some sort of countdown process is happening. That's all you have time to think. The antennae hang from a great height. With your hand shaking, you barely touch the tip of the left whisker. On contact, the chitin curls into a spiral, like the tip of a poison ivy. Its touch on your fingertip feels cold, ticklish. It is surprisingly delicate, the curly end of the whisker, like a young vine. It's even a bit wet.
Be careful, detective. It's moving.
You were right. It glistens with some kind of moisture. The creature in front of you stays frozen. Another shudder pulses through the creature's limbs. It jolts back to life, like a record continuing where it left off, in a swaying, praying motion. Even the small black pearls of its eyes do not stray from you. As you're turning away, the phasmid mirrors your movements, stepping on the water, the long limbs carrying its feather weight without breaking its surface. And just like that, it's gone, skating away across the sea's calm mirror like a skipping stone, leaving nothing but circles on the water. And something under it, in the place it stood, bobbing there, among the reeds, a collection of items.
It's gone. Apparently, yes, like a water strider. Only, I've never seen anything like that in my life. Looks like a nest of some sort. We should have a look.
What now?
In some kind of strange, semi-catatonic state.
Our suspect is not looking so good. We need to check on him.
What is it? What do you want from me? I can't go.
Something is very wrong with him now.
See?
Mr. Dross?
The man does not respond. He keeps staring, black eyes glazed over and bulging from their sockets, his gap-toothed mouth shaking with fear and longing. A light shiver passes him, followed by nothing. His hands are trembling, and he breathes slowly.
He's going into some kind of psychomotor immobility. The good news is, this solves our transportation problem, doesn't it, Mr. Dross?
The trembling mouth appears to sigh.
Between this and the broken tire he's used for a boat, I think it's safe to leave him here, while we go and get help. It will need to be medical first, I'm afraid. Old age and shock. Yes, the arrest and the appearance of the phasmid, the combined stress. But you think it's something more than that, don't you?
There's much more. Remember what it said when it spoke. Quite a few things about that health check you did on him make sense now.
He was energetic and articulate. After all these years alone, with little hygiene or medication, I would expect worse. It does not seem to be animated now it's left. Honestly, I'm ready to believe anything at this point. Maybe it is psychoactive. I mean, why not? It's 3 meters tall. You mean pheromonum? The scope, knowing of her bruises, his disposition toward Miss Orania? I see what you mean. You should be more careful, detective. Are you sure it wasn't having an effect on you? A valid hunch. Long-term exposure to something like that could be neurodegenerative. Also, please be careful when approaching unknown species in the future, detective. That could be part of the shock. But you're right, something is off here. Mr.
No response.
Then how did we see it? Oh, you mean, whatever does this, does it over time? Teenagers, kids, drunks, sightings are brief, and hence not credible. But anyone who spends a long time with it. Mr. Dross, have you ever seen a stick insect pretending to be the reeds? The doctors will have to look at this. I hope your station has better medical personnel than 57. This is a little advanced for a nurse. He did seem distressed when it finally came to arresting him, like he didn't want to leave this place, and the insect maybe. I have absolutely forgotten to take notes. I hope I remember all of this. This will be one hell of a report. Thank God we have the photo.
No one would believe you without it.
We should think about getting back to the mainland. To get help. He'll be safe here, if we don't take too long.
ICM? This feels familiar somehow.
Insulindian Citizens Militia. It's the official name of the Communards Army, the black and white army of the Revolution.
Sounds an awful lot like.
It does. The RCM may descend from the ICM. It's impossible to say. It was chaos after the war. The name was good for getting people to join us. Revachol West was mostly workers and criminals.
Nice political thoughts rush through your neocortex. A mediocre athlete would pant from dragging around his body on a busted crutch. But not you. You're thinking about politics with blood dripping down your thigh.
This is better preserved than the others. You can still read the sign. No, an upside-down star.
With its horns in the sky, the symbol of the commune.
No, that's the uninhabited archipelago.
A DeLorean-era symbol of Insulinda, known as the face in the sea.
After 44 years? That's not nearly enough to hide what happened here, Lieutenant Gefreiter. One of these barrels was still leaking fuel, as you saw. The city is full of things like this. Old bullets, guns, fuel.
The skiff is swaying on the waves by the dock.
We are done here.
The skiff rocks gently under your weight as you get in. The ride back is uneventful and quiet. But for the sound of conversation on the water, there is someone inland waiting for you. 2 men and a woman stand on the concrete square of a nameless village, looking at a small yellow boat as it draws closer. The sea is calm. You reach the jetty and climb out of the skiff.
Look what the tide brought him. Harry, you're bleeding all over the place. You're half dead.
Whatever this is, it is completely unimportant compared to what you've just seen. This is the man with sunglasses from the Whirling in Rags. But where are his sunglasses?
That's right. And you're bleeding. We're not forgetting about anything. Look at you. Bothered by it. Harry, you look like you need a fucking organ transplant. Oh, fuck it. Let's not get into that.
Hello, I'm Trent Heilerstam. I believe we've met on several occasions.
I'm your goddamn partner, Jean-Vic Kemar, and this is your special task force. Or what's left of it. Special Consultant Trent Heilerstam, Patrol Officer Judith Minot.
Hi.
We've come to scrape what's left of you off the pavement.
Lieutenant Kim Kisuragi, Prison 57. We've just come from the island, where our investigation led us.
The scene is making even him feel as though he has to justify your actions.
We might need your help with something later.
As if he recalled that he's in fact a decorated police lieutenant and not a naughty boy.
But this is clearly a departmental matter, so I'm going to leave you to discuss it among yourselves.
It's good to meet you, Lieutenant Kitsuhagi.
Letting the lieutenant know he shouldn't feel embarrassed over the shitstorm that's about to befall you.
Ari, we want to help you. Trent, I believe this is where you come in?
I don't quite know what I'm doing here. I was asked to participate as an expert. I think I need to manage your expectations a little. I'm at best an enthusiast in cognitive science. My background is in something else entirely. I engage in neurology on a merely theoretical level. In fact, I should probably get going.
No, Trent, it's too late. You're part of this shit now. What have you got to say for yourself, shit kid?
What does he have to say for himself? He left you to catch the bullets. Shit kid, what an interesting moniker.
You, shit kid, that's you.
Despite all that you've done, the deserter, the phasmid, the case. Good idea. It doesn't look like he thinks you're in a position to correct him on the shit kid issue.
The cafeteria manager you fucked over told us where you went.
And people on the street helped us too, with your whereabouts.
Yes, I'm Trent Heilerstam. I never said I wasn't Trent Heilerstam. What indeed? I was asked to share my take on some of the more obscure theories developed in Königstein in the 30s, like partial psychotraumatic amnesia, group personality theory.
He's here to see if you're insane. He is smart. Let's move on. Guilty as charged. I heard you'd lost your mind and your memory. I wanted to see if it was true. And it was. Good work, Harry. You're insane now. There's one less person for me and everyone else to rely on.
He was too sarcastic for you to realize who he was.
I'm clinically depressed, Harry. Sorry if I wasn't in the mood to butter you up after you told us to fuck off. Did you? Or did you literally not recognize my face? We've been partners for how long, Harry? Don't answer that. You don't remember.
Absolutely no idea. 100 years? Judging by the familiarity you feel toward him, 2 years minimum? Or maybe a short but close stint on the task force?
Yeah, Major Crimes Unit, under Lieutenant Dubois and Vicomar. Ring any bells? Refresh your memory? It's a goddamn Major Crimes Unit. There's you, me, Jude, Tron fucking Heidelstown, and Guillaume baby.
I'm technically just a civilian advisor.
Oh, fuck you. You're part of this shit show. Oh, that's an interesting story, actually. Guillaume Bevy is a police reporter who joined our team. He was really good. Then he left because he lost faith in your ability to lead the unit. Other people have left too. Good, smart people. People we won't get back. Only me and this really patient patrol officer are still here. And Tron because I'm forcing him to stay.
Is this Guillaume Bevy blonde and partial to sunglasses?
See? There. He's getting it. I was impersonating him. Look at me, I'm G. Bevy. It was going to be funny, but then you really did have brain damage. So not so much anymore.
He sincerely thought it was going to be amusing. For both of you.
Do? It's a Major Crimes Unit. We clear the desk of cases so Precinct 41 doesn't look like the worst station in town. We are shit tier now, Harry. Because of you.
The 41st isn't...
God damn it, Harry. You told us to fuck off. You said we're cramping your style. Your detective god. Fuck everything. All we burn. Detect or die.
It wasn't like that.
Fuck you, Harry. We didn't know there was gonna be a tribunal, did we? Are you sure? So you haven't been telling everyone what a boring cop you are? And that you should kill yourself? People say you've been out of your mind. I asked around. The bells aren't ringing because you have brain damage. Trant, this is where you come in. How bad is it?
Well, he doesn't have visible tremors, he talks without slurring, he can drive a boat, he's standing, reasoning. All good signs, but complete retrograde amnesia, episodic and semantic.
Meaning, you forgot both who you are and the definitions of money, e-solar, PAL, and so on.
As displayed in a station call, our interactions with him, and I don't want to be a snitch, but also mine with him before when Harry did not seem to know who I was. It's all very interesting.
Interesting?
Yes, interesting. I have my theories, but I would like to hear Harry's thoughts first. Harry, what do you think happened to you? Neurologically, psychologically, and why not socioeconomically?
And what is that?
That is what I thought, at first, that it was a fantasy. But I've seen him work. It's not. He really is experiencing something out of the ordinary. He really does not remember.
Lieutenant, I'm sorry, but you've been bewitched by the shit kid. It happens. I know it's hard to accept, but he made it all up. Because he's a psychopath. It's a simple explanation.
Detective Vigmer. He has blacked out before. We should take this seriously. Yes, a couple of times. After some of the more serious benders. One was after the two drunks case, the other when we looked into that mural.
So you don't remember not remembering. Beautiful.
Interesting. So at first he dipped his toes into it, prepared. That's where he would have gotten the idea, yes. Practice. And then he used alcohol to get there, so to speak.
What do you mean?
Well, here's my theory. What if this is an absolutely normal reaction to the world we're living in? What if this is not a significant anomaly at all, something to be explained, approached as a defect? Look at the sensory input here. Look at the ruins, the neon, listen to the radio, the multitudes, the people. Live here for 40 years. As a police detective, he's like a magnetic reader on the world tape, to borrow a known metaphor. Harry's been pushed flat against it. Total input. Hardwired to the free market. He just needed for it to end.
Okay, Trent, thank you. That's absolutely meaningless. I'm glad we brought you. Will he or will he not be able to work in the major crimes unit? Is he a cretin now? I want to know that.
He's not a cretin, and he is able to do work. If not in his previous leadership role, then as a line detective.
No one even mentioned that. I misphrased my question. It should have been, is he able to put his clothes on and use the body? Or do we need to get him on a disability pension? Now nothing. Now we're just going to stand here. No, now we discuss that. What the fuck did you do to a motor carriage? Why is it there, Harry? So refreshing. He just admits it. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for destroying 45,000 real of police property that's coming out of everyone's payslip. It doesn't matter. Your badge, Harry. Show me your badge.
In a rush to demonstrate your badge, your eager fingers can't sustain a grip on the smooth plastic, and the badge slips out of your hand. Not today, badge. You got it all right. You're showing it to him, victorious. There.
And your gun?
As if having your badge and gun are natural states, not achievements. What is it with all these material objects?
He has it. And he didn't drop it. You're drunk like a bum, Harry. Put that thing away before you kill someone. We're not talking about the fucking gun anymore. We're talking about the vaporized cloud of ethanol coming from your mouth.
This is so unfair. He knows you have the gun, and still he's punishing you.
You were never supposed to lose it in the first place. Not lost is your gun's natural state, you drunk bum. Well, you let the suspect escape, classy as something, because you were too drunk to assess a flight risk.
We've read the reports. Lieutenant Kitsuhagi's. We know.
Oh, well, if she was specially trained. I'm not even gonna get into the other suspect who also escaped. Yeah, Ruby's something. Or the fact that you're Everclear's little peony now, doing I don't know what for him. That's small-time stuff. That's nothing. That's a humorous anecdote. Compared to the 7 people who were gunned down, the streets are literally red with blood, Harry. It would.
He did everything he could. We did everything we could. The company hired unvetted mercenaries. Lieutenant Dubois got between them and the locals. He did so at considerable risk to his person. Remember, he was shot. We stopped an execution, not a negotiation. The loss of life was minimal compared to what it could have been. Don't make this harder for yourself.
Thank you for the input, Lieutenant Kitsuragi. I didn't mean to suggest you didn't handle the situation.
He thinks of apologizing, but decides against it.
You've spent the week with him on this case. What is your take?
On the case?
On Lieutenant Geoffrey Dubois.
Well, the drinking, the lost gun, also losing his badge, that's all true. And he's been drinking on the job.
The man sighs deeply.
Then there's the boring cop issue. Despite all the obvious and almost grotesque mannerisms and sartorial choices, he still insists he isn't characteristic enough. It's worrying, especially considering his political views. Detective Dubois is, as you may know, a Mazovian socio-economist. He wants to liquidate the ruling class, which, again, for a police officer, is a little odd.
You should yell something. Yes, let's let the big boys talk.
Other still, he is also an ultra-liberal hustler who is always on the grind. How he reconciles these 2 points of view, I do not know. But he is vocal about both of them. And then there's the motor carriage in the sea, something I was not present for. But despite all this, he is a great detective, one of the best I have seen, in fact. He can talk human beings into telling him everything, and he doesn't stop. In all the time I've spent with him, he has not once stopped pursuing leads, however far-fetched and tangential. He is tireless, madly driven. And he solved it, near perfectly. In 1 week we have a confession, a murder weapon, and the perpetrator. Locked on the island right now, awaiting transportation. He apprehended a revolutionary brigade who stayed hidden for 50 years, ever since the revolution, who's probably committed other murders over those years. Oh, and he also discovered a new species.
A new species?
A colossal stick insect. It was on the island, camouflaged as the reeds. It unfolded from the reeds. I think we may be dealing with the Insulindian phasmid.
He takes out the photo of the phasmid and shows it to the officers across the yard. The wind blows, flapping the glossy rectangle in his hand. You hear gasps beneath the howling of the wind.
As you can see, it's about 3 meters tall. In fact, we think it may be the largest land invertebrate ever discovered.
Fucking hell is that? Is this somehow connected to the case?
Detective? The old man was not aware of the phasmid's presence. Exhibiting a strange, atypical dementia, he fell into a stupor after its appearance. He became near catatonic.
So it is connected.
I must say, this is absolutely extraordinary. I don't even have words for it.
Yes, it really does make it hard to fire the drunk.
This is a very, very sad man who has just seen something that's made him forget his sadness. Now you make your case. Now is the time. Now or never.
This is a conversation for when we are no longer out in the open, in Martinez, where Evrard and Edgar Clare have ears everywhere.
And eyes, too. Your return from the island must not have gone unnoticed.
Understood, of course.
But a case against Everard would be big.
I would prefer not to partake in anything union-related, for political neutrality.
This has to be good stuff for him to backpedal out of it at first mention.
Lilianovich, a revolutionary matronym. The custom started in Grad, where they have patronyms, Krasovich, Lasovich, etc. The revolutionaries saw this as a chauvinist atavism, so they used matronyms, derived from the mother's name instead. This man's mother was Lilian, his Lilian's son, Lilianovich. The custom was overturned after the revolution failed, but not before it made it to Revachol.
So, it is what a soldier of the ICM would be called.
Thank you, Trant. Thank you for that piece of cultural theory. You said you have a motive?
Of course, excuse me, I just thought it was noteworthy.
He wasn't quite sure about the straggler before he heard this detail. It must have convinced him.
Jealousy. I thought this Lilianovich was an old man. To have been hiding for 50 years, like 70-something.
A strange psychosexual fixation, aggravated possibly by proximity to the phasmid and its chemicals. He himself gave a political reason, said he had killed an enemy combatant. Also, we have a sniper's nest with full view of the room in which the mercenary died, right on the island, and 2 officers on the scene that Mr. Dross confessed to.
It's a clean win.
Oh, it's way more than that.
I've never doubted you can pull yourself together and work. In bouts. Bouts don't last. I can still smell the booze on the wind.
God damn it. It is bad. Even you can smell it. Chin up. Keep focusing on the positives here.
Yes. Fallen through a gap in a boardwalk. Drunk.
The body was transported to Precinct 41, our morgue. I had Tilbrook and Mullins take care of funeral arrangements and family stuff.
You're not the only cop in the world, Harry. This all comes back to us.
Still, good work with the missing person, Detective.
It's still a point for you. No denying it.
Female? What makes you think so?
You had to see it. It had the subdued colors of a female, and the nesting behavior too, I think.
Incredible. Were there eggs in the nest?
Not as far as I could see. There were other things there, though.
As in cloning itself? What makes you think so? Interesting. Then it is especially vulnerable to disease. A single strain of bacteria could wipe out the entire species. We're probably talking conservation efforts here. Yes. That would be a chiromone. A pheromone that's seemingly beneficial to the host. It usually stimulates the affected nervous system. Not a human's, of course, but perhaps a predator's. There are species of bees that, under the influence of chiromones, take wasp larvae to their hives. Ants do the same with aphids, thinking they're... Do you think this is how it stayed hidden?
Nothing is off the table. But I want to stress this. The find does not have to be connected to the case. The case is 100% prosecutable, without any chiromones.
Of course, Lieutenant. Of course. We should treat the case and the phasmid as completely separate from each other. People are not going to...
They're not going to go for this speculation in the constabulary.
Yes, but also reed-colored, beige and brown, a little green on the outside. After unfolding from a single stalk, it still retained parts that looked like reed tufts on its limbs.
Incredible. The PR value of this is exceptional. Carve discovers new species. Maybe even discovers the Insulindian phasmid. No, that's too much.
This would really help with some of the problems we've been having.
Absolutely, this is great. This does not say vigilante murderers to me at all. This says science, news, human interest. You know, it's a really good thing you have that photo.
Without it,
You're doing good here. Perhaps only for a moment, but still. Quit while you're ahead? Or no?
I don't want to, but you discovered a new species and solved the murder. So I have to. Jude,
Honestly, anything that ends this trial is okay with me.
Agreed. The public relations potential of this is too valuable to let go.
okay. We have vehicles in the square, and the perpetrator needs to be taken into custody. Let's go.
Now you will finally get to know who you are. The man looks westward, impatiently, jingling his car keys in his pocket.
Us? We're the bloody murder station, haven't you heard? We're the bad guys. No one likes us.
That's not true. Jamrock is too big for one precinct. You are just understaffed, and everyone respects the 41st. You have Captain Price.
Thank you, Lieutenant. You're being kind. It is an understaffed station and the district is too big, which is why we need to...
Get back to it. We left Torsen and McLean to run the Sea Wing. It's not good. Mac the Torso Torsen and Chester McLean. They're not fit to run a wing. Believe me. Things are shaky as it is.
They are damn iconic though, Torsen and McLean.
Yeah, not like us. Two clinically depressed old men. Where's the contrast here? We are garbage. God. There are 4 wings, Harry. A, B, C, and D. We're in C. It's made of losers and clock punchers. You and I reconceptualized it as a task force. It was a mistake.
There's also a lot of outside help involved, not only me. Other losers too.
Ptolemy Price? He's the son of the old Price, one of the founders of the RCM.
He's one of the most highly regarded men in the force. You're lucky.
Somewhere under the curved roof of a former silk factory, shaped like a ladybird with 2 chimneys, Police Captain Ptolemy Price sits behind a heavy wooden desk. Resident medic Nix Gottlieb pours him coffee. It's silent in the captain's office. They speak of change, the city, the tension on the streets. They speak of the events of April and the blood on the streets in May.
So he remembers that. Yes, there may have been a raid on some churches. It wasn't good press.
Shooting up churches never is. I was out of town, to be clear.
Our enemies were hiding in a church, to the best of our information. That's it. I'm not talking about this anymore. Your security clearance is shit tier right now. You have to wait for it to go up.
He means it. The RCM and its enemies will not be discussed on this coast. Your clearance will not go up while you're within earshot of the Union headquarters.
Okay, it's not the bloody murder station. It's an old converted silk mill with green desk lamps and a coffee corner. A lot of good people work there, hard, every day.
Jamrock is the largest ghetto in Rivershoal. Faubourg, technically, but it's divided into 11 districts. Jamrock only has us.
The press will blow over. Jamrock is lucky to have you, and it's often considered to be the greatest of the districts. You're lucky to have it.
Thank you again, Lieutenant.
Well, first I will go back to my station and write the most detailed report anyone has ever seen. It will have to be good to cover all these. Then I will have a serious talk with my captain. Detective, we just stopped a small-scale war. Something is happening to Revachol. I don't know what yet, but it's going to be a hard spring for the RCM. We need to get ready, infiltrate, investigate. Talk to Captain Price? I'd rather not ruffle the feathers of two captains with my doom-mongering. Work with Price? I'm flattered, but I don't know if I...
Would fit in. Am crazy enough. Can take the stress. He doesn't know how to finish the sentence. This truly came as a surprise to him. Not a bad one, but he's at a loss.
Flattered? You're Lieutenant Kitsuragi. We would be flattered if you even considered.
I would have to tie things up in GRIH first. But, I mean, whatever is coming, Jamrock will be more central to it than the harbor.
And we also have a huge caseload, Lieutenant. Piles that we need to get back to. Mountains, even.
I do like the sound of that.
He's really considering it.
Who is Lena?
She lives at 1113 Tabernacle Road in Jamrock, remember?
Tabernacle? It's on the way over. Near where you live on Perdition.
Fine, if we're gonna drop you off anyway.
She and her husband were conducting the search for the Phasmid. It's their discovery, in part. They should know as soon as possible. It would do you good to deliver some positive news for a change.
Watch out or she'll faint.
No.
Talks concluded. Good.
Fuck it, let's go. Tron brought his motor carriage. It's a 20-minute drive to Jamrock.
The great district hums in the slowly falling snow. A chessboard of wooden houses, 80,000 living souls, and chimney stacks. Fire traps as far as the eye can see. From Main Street to Precinct 41, to Boogie Street, forking into the white horizon. You close your eyes and hear the dogs bark. A lone woman sits by a factory window, dreaming of meteorite strikes. On Rue de Saint-Jérôme, a square bullet slides into a square-shaped chamber. In Old South, a man without eyelids smiles. Spring has come. It's time. Dawson? Yes. McLean? Yes. Heidelstein? No. Vicmair? Yes. Dubois? Of course. Really? Nick Gottlieb looks up from the list. I hear he's unstable. You say that like it's a bad thing. Captain Potomny Price gestures with a ballpoint pen. It's dim in his office, and the curtains are drawn. Harry's our man. He'll pull through. When he does, he'll side with the people. Understood. Gottlieb returns to the list. Minnow? Of course.
Wonderful. Then can we please just go back to Jamrock now?